guys, welcome back to 40 Plus and Unfiltered. In today's video, we're briefly going to be talking about something different, but something is very, very important. For all of you who do follow me on the other channel, I do apologize. Chances are you have seen me covering this subject today, but I felt it's very, very important to make sure that this subject is covered outside the community. I'm never intend to repeat the content on either of the channels, but this is going to be the exception to make sure that the word is spread. So for any of you guys who are not really aware, and I'm pretty sure many of you are not, because myself is actually, as a mum, I was appalled that this has kind of slipped through the net. So we're talking about the current Children Wellbeing and School Bill, which is the Wellbeing and a Safeguarding Bill that's targeting our children. And I'm not going to go into the huge amount of the politics, but basically this is a bill that's meant to be designed to safeguard the children in our system. So the horrendous thing is, right, and I've printed out some bits here to basically to make you aware of what's actually included, because it is pretty actually horrific. If you're a parent especially, you probably understand what that means outside the positive things that they are portraying to be. So basically the government giving itself a permission to create a national digital ID system for children, allowing the data of children's data to be shared across multiple agencies, things like education, health, social services, social care, and also home education. Right, so they actually calling this, and I think the name is also rather horrendous. Rather than like a digital ID, which they're trying to push ourselves, they call it a single-use identifier. Just think about this name. It's not a bloody book. This is what they use, like, ASIN numbers. It's like, single-use identifiers. This is what Amazon uses, identify products. The name itself, it is just wrong. So basically, so the bill gives the Secretary of State a power to assign consistent identifier or digital ID to every child. So the ID will link all the data, so health data, school records, social care, into the one profile. So the government is trialing this currently in NHS in Wigan. But anyway, once that thing is created, there's going to be no going back. See, when they're talking about the NHS records, all the records of your child, and I mean, they're talking about everything. For them to create this ID of your kid, they'll need information from you in terms of the health history as well, okay, to be able to get a better idea of the child, just the health history alone. Anyway, so the point is, so the bill lets authorities to share data for safeguarding or welfare, okay, but it is very broad because they're not actually saying who's going to be allowed to share who with. Is basically just left blank. The whole idea they're creating this, right, without really giving us enough information of who's going to be seeing what. But the scary part is, right, so the bill even states, and I quote, that the data, or the bill, so the data that's going to be collected by you and your children does not breach confidentiality. Does not breach confidentiality. So we're talking about multiple agencies, and people can see the data about your child, okay, and it does not breach confidentiality. If that doesn't breach, then I don't know what. So basically, it says that once everything's processed, that anybody can have an access to your child information without them asking for your permission. Just think about this for a minute, right? Just think about it. Whatever it is your child is, whatever it goes, either it's in the care or it goes into school, anybody can then technically just access everything about the child. Everything. This is absolutely horrific. So basically, as I said, the parents won't know who's accessing the data and when. There is no apparently regulatory body that's going to be governing or regulating what's actually happening. And apparently the phrase consistent identifier, it sounds harmless, but the digital infrastructure that comes with that, it's actually rather horrific and, of course, very vulnerable. Like we already talked about, say, guys, digital ID, anything, any information that is saved online about, well, anything, any information online is very vulnerable to cyber attacks and obviously being hacked and being stolen. So do we really want our kids' information, like all of this, to be stored on digital platform? I don't think so. Anyway, so they're talking about the further on as it gets developed, once it's in place and it's a law, they're talking about the other departments could be also involved in sharing the data, and they're talking about like police or the border control. Okay, it kind of getting a little bit out of control. But also, right, so the data eventually, the data they collect on your child and save on your child, says that over the time it could be used to do predictive analytics. Okay, they could do attendance monitoring and behavioral tracking. So analytics, right, predictive analytics on what? On the children's behavior, on what they're eating, attendance monitoring. They do attendance thing, like with a ticky thing when they go in there, and it's all get input in the computer. So it's kind of digitalized anyway, because the councils come and look at the kids' attendance anyway. And they do this apparently every 2 weeks. Somebody comes from council and they discuss every child to find out if they've been absent and why they have been absent. But apparently not. They're also talking about potential profiling of children. And I don't know, they're not really clear in terms of what they mean by profiling. They're going to be profiling them on the behavior, or are they going to be profiling people on their well-being, or are they going to be profiling people on how much money they have, in terms of whether people are on benefits or people earning certain amounts? What sort of profile they're talking about? The only trouble is, as well, the whole idea is they're talking about this is meant to be all for the name of, for the name of good, is to protect the children, make sure the children don't slip through the net. But there are far better ways of doing so than basically labeling our kids with the personal identifier that links it like across many systems. Again, but the backlashes are as well, if your information, all information about your family, can just imagine your medical history, your financial situation, whether you're in benefits, whether you earn money or how much money you earn, all that sort of information in one place, be it whether you're single parent or you live with somebody, just all of that in one place. And just imagine if you suddenly need to get an access to some sort of a establishment, or let's say, not social services, but any sort of help that you might require to get, then any person amongst that establishment can see what you have, what you owe, what you do, literally every single bit of you. Can you imagine the embarrassment of that person getting in touch with specific service, knowing that they know everything about you? And that's the point, is they're saying a lot of people potentially might decide not to seek help, whatever help there might be, because they feel they'll be judged. And I totally understand. This is total loss of privacy, not just for children, but for ourselves as adults as well. And I think it's really horrendous that it's all got sort of slipped away from a public eye. It's been in the making since last year, and I really don't know how I have not noticed that. But there's been so much information about everything else. It's been smoke and mirrors in the news about everything else but. But as a parent, and I'm pretty sure you agree whether you have children or not, because this is what's coming to digital ID for adults as well anyway, wouldn't that be nice to be told that your kid's going to be profiled and numbered and labelled and barcoded eventually? Would that be nice to be told, and then people can express their opinions, whether it's a good idea or the bad idea? So anyway, so there was a petition started, right? And unfortunately, petition's only got 2 weeks to go. Petition currently has 137,000 signatures. This is nothing comparing to the adult digital ID that had 2.6 million, and it's only just begun. This has been running for almost 6 months, hence it's only got the 2 weeks left. And it only has so little. It's because it's not really been talked about. It's just been, for some reason, just been brushed under the carpet. I understand this is obviously the agenda of the government to make sure that we don't know about these things. Do you know what? There's a horrendous amount of things happening. All those bills that are coming out that we don't get to see, we don't get to decide. Very rarely you'll see something that sneaks through because somebody noticed it somewhere. But generally, as a public, we're kept in the dark. So if this comes out, I think it's absolutely horrific, okay? Just imagine, and I understand, guys, we have passports, you have your social security or national security number, and all of these things are kind of, in a way, identifiers as people, whether you can work or not. But for children, so the whole idea is they're talking about this from birth, okay, pretty much, eventually, your child will have a code assigned to it, like a bit of sheep gets stamped with, numbers in his ears or something. And then everything over the years, it will be cohererated into that big picture of the little person that will grow into the adult. So by the time it be adulthood, okay, we're talking about how many years down the line they'll be getting to the stage of collecting everything. So in 20 years down the line, we'll be in a position like you see in all those films, okay, when the guys walking around or women walking around with the little barcodes on their, on their hands are there. All they have to do is just go and scan them, and everybody knows everything about them from the day one. There'll be no hiding, okay? I understand we don't need to hide. If I haven't done anything wrong, you certainly don't need to hide. But we certainly do not need to have our children labelled like a book with a barcode. So you guys, anyway, I'll put the petition down below if you're interested. But the whole idea is basically, because now it's actually, it's gone through the House of Commons. So it's going to be debated in House of Lords very, very soon. So after it's gone through that, okay, there'll be no return from that. So we literally have a couple of weeks, like emailing your MPs, make sure they spread the awareness to make sure it's enough backlash for them to suddenly rethink or maybe ease off what they're trying to do, like it's been currently happening with the digital ID for adults. There's been so much happening, so much backlash. People are really unhappy and things are changing. We'll have a chance. So let's make sure that this doesn't happen, because to me, this is absolutely horrific. So anyway, guys, I do apologize to talk about that kind of thing on this channel, but I felt it's really important to make sure that we reach or I reach as much as audience as possible with that kind of thing, because it's really, really hits home. So anyway, guys, please, thank you for watching. Don't forget, thumbs up, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.